Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Michael Hartley with Action Coach. What needs to pivot in my business, kickstart your day, get you refocused, because business is changing daily right now. Well, good morning everyone, and welcome back to What Needs to Pivot right now as we start to really look at the next few steps in building your routine and making sure your mindset is super strong. I am Dr. Michael Hartley. I'm a non-medical type of doctor. I operate on business, and today we're going to be operating on yours. So when we look at kind of where we're at, let's refocus on kind of where we are at in the current process in building the country to open back up and our individual states. For most of us, we are in the warm-up phase, phase 3, where things are starting to get announced as to when business and the country and our cities and our states will be opening back up. So where do we need to focus to make sure that we're properly prepared for the sprint ahead? And if you haven't learned anything new while being, kind of quarantined at home, then start today. Start focusing on what do you need to gain in knowledge, in skills, maybe in who you are as an individual, the be person of the formula be, do, have, who we need to be multiplied by the things we need to do. Focus on that if you haven't already, at least an hour a week, benefiting you, which will then benefit the business, which will then benefit everyone else around you. What are those things that you need to focus on right now? What's the gap in knowledge that we need to address right now? Then we look at, okay, so we are in the warm-up phase, the team's coming back, our routines are being set right now, our mindset's gonna stay strong, we're building that every single day. We are preparing, we're creating the plan, we're starting to ramp back up. We're looking for maybe new opportunities that will happen in the marketplace because some of our past competitors may not be opening back up. That's the reality of it. The reality is, depending on depending on a few different things, we're going to see a large percentage of businesses not make it through this. So you may need to go hire their teams. You may need to bring them into your business and bring their customer base with it. And now you've expanded your business. Maybe there's new offerings. Maybe there's new products or services that you need to consider offering out of this. Maybe there's some things that you've pivoted in your business that may maintain way past it when we get into that 5th phase of the compete and grow. And if, by the way, we just did an 1.5-hour webinar on the 6 steps to getting through all of this. We just did it. So if you're interested, we're going to do it every 2 weeks. Jump into it on the next one. So that's where we're at. We are preparing for the sprint ahead, that path forward, which always starts with mindset. And I asked the question yesterday, I'm going to ask the question again, which is, what's your after? What does your after really look like? What should it look like? At the end of all of this, who do you want to be? What do you want your business to be doing? What's your after really look like? Have you put that on, pen to paper in detail as to what your after is going to look like? Have you thought about where you want to end this year now with the changes that have happened out of Q1 into the second quarter, knowing that Q3 is going to be the first real quarter that a lot of businesses are doing business as they used to. Now, there's a handful of businesses who are thriving right now. We have a client who had last week one of their highest week all year and the top 3 weeks that they've ever had in the history of the business, which is kind of cool. Question is if that is not you, then Q3 is going to be massive. There's a pent-up demand, and that's what we're seeing across the board. There's a lot of pent-up demand that people are going to have for your service, for your product, for your industry. So are you properly prepared? And what does the after look like? What are those shifts that you need to be putting in place, the systems you need to be documenting right now to make it easy for people to book with you, for people to buy from you, for your team to be ready for it? Do you need to look at hiring more team coming out of this because you're going to be so fully booked? Are you properly planning so that way you are fully booked as soon as your doors open back up? All of those things. What does your after look like? Which gets us back down to the topic for the week, which is routine. And by the way, tomorrow We're going to be talking through the 10 top productivity tips, and we're going to have 2 free resources for you tomorrow. So make sure you invite others as well who could leverage those resources. So tomorrow we're going to talk about the top 10 productivity tips and how to use them, and then we're going to give you 2 free resources on taking all of this when it comes to building your routine and actually putting it in place in your own life, in your own business. So routine, from chaos to control. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become, the type of person you wish to become. Think about that. Every action you take, every action I take, let me internalize this for a second. Every action I take is a vote in the moment for the person I wish to become. You see, the living above and below the point, below being blame, excuse, denial, above the point being ownership, accountability, responsibility. Living above the point is in the moment. It's not in the past. It's not focusing on it in the future. It's in the moment. Every moment that goes by, we must choose to live above the point. So every action that we take, and we talk a lot about the fact that why we focus on mindset first is because everything starts with the words and thoughts that we have in our head. Those then lead towards the actions we take and the results we get. So every action starts with your mindset, and it's a vote towards the person either that you wish to become or that you are actually focused on becoming. Meaning, you can choose a few different paths. The choices and the actions you're making, are they pushing you towards the person you want to become, or are they pulling you away from it? Point 2, what groups do you need to consider joining that are going to have the right behaviors and routine that you desire to become? Who are those people that you need to surround yourself with that are going to help push you towards the person you wish to become? And sometimes it may mean not joining certain groups or removing yourself from certain groups. I certainly have done that recently, where it's like, you know what, this isn't the spot for me anymore. Maybe it was in the past. It's not there anymore, and that's okay, right? We grow, we learn. That's what we should be doing. So, what are those places that you need to put yourself into that are going to help push you towards the ultimate goal that you want to get to? Point 3, to innovate, which a lot of innovation is happening right now. A lot of innovation is going to come out of all of this. So you want to make sure that you're on the front end of it, not on the back end of it. You may need to replace some of your current identity. Some of the things that either personally or in the business have been your identity on a consistent basis, you may need to shred. You may need to remove and replace with something different, with the new version. As we grow, we shift. And it's interesting, you know, back in high school, for those who have never met me or really know me, back in high school, I was a straight C and D student. I did not excel in high school, except for math. I was really good at math. That's about the only class in gym, I guess. All the main classes, though, I struggled in. I was a solid C student. And my sister was one of those who never needed to study, straight A's. You know, she was that person. That was not like me at all. And in our school, they put us in. I was in a smaller school, so and they separated the entire class, about 60 of us. So the entire grade, there was about 60 of us. They split us into an A and a B. And the A was the smart class and the B was the dumb class. The school didn't call it that. That's what we kind of called it. And it was true, right? It was all the C and D students were in the B class and all the A's and whatnot, valedictorian stuff were all in the A class. Here's what's interesting to me. The majority of those that were in the A class have since plateaued in life. The majority of them had a specific place that they were comfortable with and they plateaued. Meanwhile, I have focused on understanding how to learn. I've focused on building myself up. And as I have grown, so have my businesses, so have my relationships. And it's interesting to see how if you choose to grow, you can move far past plateauing. Same thing happens in relationships, very candidly. If you look at relationships and one person in the relationship is focused on personal growth and moving them forward, and the other is not, the two are going to move apart, because the person who's focused on growing internally themselves, their mindset, their knowledge, all of that, their emotional state, their emotional IQ, they're going to separate from the person that is not willing to do that, because they're going to be, 2 years down the road, they're going to be a very different person versus the partner who has been stuck wherever they were at. And so if you're in a relationship and you're focused on growing and personal growth and stuff like that, make sure that the person you're with is doing the same thing, so that way you're building together your lives. So some of your identity may need to shift or be replaced. Lastly, culture is a collection of consistent routines by everyone, whether that is at your home or in your business. Culture is built based off of a collection of consistent routines, that additive state that people do all the time, which is why we see in large corporations when the boss comes in and he's like, this is what we're going to focus on right now. He's all gung-ho about something, and it lasts for a day and a half. The culture is, well, it's the flavor of the month. There's a reason why that is a coined phrase. So don't allow that to be the case. Make sure that you remain consistent. Don't have the culture of, well, this is what their crazy idea was for right now. No, be consistent with things. Be consistent with them. Allow that to build the culture you ultimately want to create. And you should have culture points and stuff like that as well. Lastly, for the purpose of today's episode, systematize the routine and humanize the exception. It's the straight up 80-20 rule. Most businesses, 80% of them can be systematized. That's why we coach through systems-based approaches. And then the other 20% needs to be humanized. So leaving here today, go identify what are the 20% of my life, of my business, that need to be humanized, that human connection where we have that constant conversation going back and forth. And then what are the other 80% that I can truly systematize? That's why we have 9 steps to systematizing a business. And then we have the 4 areas, kind of buckets, if you will, to then focus on after you have the initial 9 steps worked through. The 9 steps are there to make sure that you're properly built for having a team. See, the first 9 are all about preparing your business to have the right team on the bus in the right seats. And then the other 4 major areas are about the rest of the 80%, making sure the entire business is properly systematized. There is a reason why a 21-year-old can be a manager at a McDonald's. You see, when a 12 or 16-year-old can run your business, you have properly systematized it. You can't get an 18-year-old to go do anything in life. I used to be there. You used to be there. At 16 or 18 years old, we were useless. Let's be honest about this. And yet, when a McDonald's opens up, they can put pretty much anyone of any age into a position because it's systematized. I can go to a McDonald's in Texas. I can go to one in London. I can go to one in Australia. The Big Mac is still the Big Mac. Fries are still going to be the fries. It is going to be what my anticipated expectation is going to be because it's systematized. So for you, as you grow your business, you must put things in place to systematize them. So that way the entire business routine is straightforward. That way you can go bring in almost anybody. It's why so when your business is properly systematized, when your business has the right routine, that it follows every single day. I was working with a client that works at Oracle yesterday, and she's specifically out of the Chicago office. And it was fascinating to have the conversation with her about some of these simple principles and how implementing just 2 of them, we identified a whole bunch, just implementing 2 of them would excel her career within a billion-dollar company just by getting her own team and her department on the right routine. So when your local business, when your locally owned business or your franchise focuses on 80-20, 80% systemized routine, 20% humanized interaction, now it can truly move forward. Then we want to make sure that we're removing all of the things that can add chaos. We want to make sure that we're adding all of the things that will distract or cause us to go away from our routine. So think about those. Do you have a minute? How many people have done the drop by, the drive by? Working from home, it's a lot easier to remove that because you just put yourself on do not disturb. You put your headphones on and you focus on whatever whatever your business you need to do in the moment. The Mr. Meeting, people who do nothing but attend meetings all day long. Oh my goodness. The previous business I helped build, this was our lives. It was literally 8 hours of meetings all day long. And then people go, how am I ever going to be productive? Because we're in meetings nonstop. That's why I've implemented now the 20-minute rule. The majority of my meetings are now 20 minutes. Client sessions are still different, but team meetings, we focus on getting them to 20 minutes. That's why these webinars are 15 to 20 minutes. So that way there's always time to be productive. Don't be stuck in meetings all day long and Zoom calls and things like that. Emotional crisis. Some people magnify everything. Usually they do not want solutions. They just focus on the problems. When I work with executives of major corporations, we talk about what's the type of leader you want to be. As the owner of your business, as the CEO of your business, what type of leader do you want to be? Make sure that your team's bringing you solutions, not just problems. So cut to the core of the problem to give them solutions, or make sure that they can come to the table with a few, and then you help determine what the right solution is. So make sure that you're removing some of these type of situations out of your day. They kill routines. And we hear all the excuses in the world. So stop giving yourself excuses and start focusing on being productive, staying to the routine, removing distractions. And don't become any of these either, for what it's worth. You may be looking at it, oh man, that's actually me in a nutshell. Okay, shift it, no longer be that. Focus on what you want to be. So don't be the do you have a minute, like the drive-by person. Respect people's calendars. And so as an example, maybe your team is, even in a virtual environment, maybe your team needs to have 1 hour a day that's office hours, to where it's like, I know that this 1 hour a day, or however much time it is, I can just pick up the phone and call someone or jump on Zoom, because that's our office hours. So it's all of our admin time. We're all on the same default calendar during this time of the day. So that way we can have just ad hoc, I just need to pick up the phone and call you. Respect other people's times and routines as well. That's the other piece of this. It's not just about building yours. We want to build an entire business routine. So you must respect those of others. Words can inspire, thoughts can provoke, only actions truly bring you closer to your dreams. Bradley J. Sugar is one of my mentors. So take action. Again, tomorrow, we're going to give you a couple of resources. We're going to talk through the top 10 productivity tips that you must implement into your business. And then we'll give you, and whomever you invite at least one more person tomorrow morning so they can get those resources as well. On Thursdays, we have networking, virtual networking. It's every Thursday, midday, 11 to noon. It's 1 hour of your time to connect with other business owners. If you are a client of ours, make sure that you're diving into it. It's complimentary, part of your program. If you're not a client, we'll give you the first 2 weeks for free to come check it out. It's a lot of fun. Reviews are through the roof, and we get connected in different ways. So if you're not building community, join ours, and then we'll help you build your community as well. I'm Dr. Michael Hartley. I'm here to elevate your business, enhance your lifestyle, and choose to make it a great rest of your day. Bye for now.